Cool. All right, so this is test number 1 of showing you how to fill out an agreement of sale. Okay, so to fill out an agreement of sale, you're going to start by going into your one login. Okay, so you're typically going to be filling out these agreement of sales on Skyslope in Skyslope forms. We're going to get to that in just a minute here, but this is for showing it to you online. Okay, these same applications would go if you're doing a paper copy, but of course you're just going to handwrite everything in, so you're just going to have to go find the information that you need. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go to our one login. Okay, so if you already have it installed on your Chrome browser, you can come over here to the plugin extension. You can click the drop down and you can actually go right to where you want to. But if not, you come up to the screen. You're going to go to Skyslope, choose that option there. And then from there, you're going to go over to the upper right hand corner over here and click apps. You're going to go to forms. Okay, you could also use DigiSign, but I don't teach that. I teach forms because I think it's the better way to do it. It's also the way that I'm used to. All right, so we go into forms and yours will be empty when you first come in here. So we're going to create a file. Okay, so this is where all of your files live before you get them signed. And this is also where all of your files live during the time of a transaction. Completed documents for compliance for Realty One Group Generations, they go into a different platform in Skyslope, so they actually stay back in this part of Skyslope, right here, and then you actually create transactions and things like that. So that's for compliance, but this is where we fill out docs to send it to our clients for signatures. So think of getting signatures, you're in Skyslope forms, okay? So we're gonna create a file in here. Typically, we're going to call this file by the name of either the person or the property address. If it's just for a buyer client that you don't have a property for yet, I typically just name it the client's name. And then the second one would be when you actually get something that you're writing an offer on, then I would name that file the address hyphen the person's name. So for this example, we're doing Mickey Mouse. Pretty sure Mickey's with a Y. And it's mixter at hotmail.com. Okay. And in this instance, since we are writing an agreement of sale, of course, we will have a property. So really quick, just to be able to make this a little bit more legit, we're going to find a property here. So we're going to go to York, like we're looking for a client, right? So we're going to go 300 to 375. I'm going to go 3+ bedrooms and detached. And then we're going to go 2,000 square foot or more with a garage. Go to results. Let's sort it by the least to most expensive. Let's go down. Perfect. Fountain Rock and Dover. So take that. Is there, whoops. File name is that dash Mickey Mouse. Okay. And then we're actually going to import the MLS data if it allows us. It doesn't always work, but the idea here is that you actually come over here, you grab the PAYK number, you grab the MLS number. So for York, it's PAYK, PA, York County. Oops, sorry, put that in the wrong spot. And here it pulled up. Awesome. Fills in all of this for you. We already have the file name here, and then I'm representing the buyer in this scenario. This now gives me the option. You will hopefully already have your template set up. So we're going to go ahead and assume that that is already done at this point. So we're going to go into our buyer docs template here. Always hit no thanks or just cancel this because you're going to end up putting other people's information in for your own, and then you're going to end up accidentally shipping something to somebody else's house. Okay, so we come in here, and in here, this would be all of the documents that you probably will need besides the documents that you have to go get that you will not find in here, okay? So the first thing that we want to do is go get the documents that aren't in here so that way we can add them all in before we move on to the next step. So that means we have to go back to the MLS here. We have to go to our documents. You have to go to your seller's disclosure because that's the document that they have. That's the only extra doc that they have on here, but we're going to download this. Okay, so 1810 Fountain Rock Road. So Fountain Rock, and this is the seller's disclosure. I always recommend naming these items the property address, just like up to the road portion, and then put the thing that it is. So SD for seller's disclosure, LBP for lead-based paint disclosure, CN for consumer notice, BAC for buyer's agency contract. Those things wouldn't be attached with the house, but just giving you some ideas of some shorthand that we use. The other thing that you're going to do is a cost estimate, but I usually send that separately, so that's something that we'll hold off doing for the time being. I also like to come down here and print off a copy of the MLS. Go ahead and say print to PDF. You'll be able to come up to this right-hand corner and download a copy of that. So we hit download, and then once again, 1810, Fountain Rock comes up. I go back, and then I put MLS. Boom. Perfect. Go back to results. I have my information back pulled up. And this way I'm going to have the client sign this so they know that 2.5% is coming from here and they're going to cover the other 0.5% per our commission structure breakdown. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to come back here. We're going to go upload documents, upload documents. Went a little fast there, so let me go back. So we're going to go upload documents because we're uploading from the desktop. Adding a form is adding it from the library that they have here on Skylope. Okay, so we're going to go to upload documents, highlight the two that you want, let these upload. They're going to take a couple seconds. We'll sip a cup of coffee. I promise these videos will get better. This is just a test run here, so forgive me. I know this is not going to be the best. All right, so now we can go ahead and pull the documents that we want to bring in to send this file out to the client to sign. Okay, so typically in most deals, you are always going to need the following documents. Okay, you're going to need the agreement of sale. You already at this point have your BAC, your consumer notice, excuse me, and your affiliated business arrangement disclosure statement will all be signed by this point. So you're not going to have to include these with here because you also don't need to send that to them to sign again, nor do you have to send it to the other side. So you're also going to make sure you grab your deposit money notice. That's something that we fill out every single time. And then go ahead and put an appraisal contingency addendum because we're going to make like this is a conventional offer. The two documents that we just added in, we're going to need those. And then we're actually missing a form on here, the for your protection, get a home inspection document was not in my template for some reason. So we just added that. So I'm going to add those. Okay. Go in and adding this. So the two documents that you're going to almost always have is the agreement of sale, the deposit money notice. Okay. All the other documents are going to be applicable for a lot of transactions, but not every transaction. Other staples are you're pretty much always going to have a seller's disclosure, and you will always go ahead and print off the MLS and add it to this file here. Okay. Some of these other documents are documents you'll need farther down the road, not something that you need to send out your offer. Okay, so then we go into the actual docs here. You saw me click through to the next screen. Sometimes these documents are going to be out of date for whatever reason. So just click update now, and it's going to update it to the newest version that they have. Okay, now we're in the editing section of Skyslope forms. So this is where you can actually edit the documents. What's really cool is some of these fields are sticky. So if you add the seller's name into it, it's going to add it to the whole file, and it's going to add it to every applicable spot in that document. So it makes it really simple because once you get the name in there once, you don't have to keep going and adding it again. You just do it that one time. Okay, so this is Heather M. and Gordon L. Vogelmuth is the name of this particular sellers. So we're going to go ahead and just add Gordon first, and then, because they always make it difficult, add another. So I already have that there. Go back. What's her name? Heather M. Going to the right one. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so since they're the sellers, they're not our clients, we don't have to do anything, so there's no action required for this particular person, nor do we need their email address. Okay, we're just adding them into the document, so you see they're both there. Now that's sticky, and that's going to be there forever. So that typically we're already going to have our buyers filled out, so you see that's already pre-filled because it's already been added to the file. Again, anything that's added to the file level is going to auto-fill anywhere it needs to, so it's really, really advantageous to fill out as much as you can because it sticks with the documents. Okay, so that takes us to the next section here, the property section. So this is where you're going to fill in the address if you haven't already, but this should already be pre-filled in by this point. And then we have the municipality, the school district tax ID, and all of these pieces are going to be found on the MLS here. So the first thing that we'll go ahead and grab is going to be the tax ID. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. So I'm just copying and pasting all of this information, right? So I need the school district. So I grabbed the school district, happened to be Dover area, and I added into the document. And then I'm going to need the township, the municipality. So you can see here the MLS area, okay? That is the municipality. They are interchangeable. That is what they are talking about there, okay? So you go ahead and grab that. And then, excuse me. So here, again, with your template, this stuff should already be filled out. For whatever reason, again, mine does not have the brokerage or my number, which is aggravating, so I have to come in here and do this. But it's not the end of the world. Okay, so those two things are added. In this document, or I'm sorry, in this section of the document here, this is the buyer's relationship with the broker. So you want to always make sure that it's buyer's agent and buyer's agent. Okay, unless it would be somebody else in the brokerage is the listing agent. So if Realty One Group Generations is the broker, then it would be a dual agent here and buyer's agent with a designated agency. If it's somebody within our team or yourself, then it would be dual agent and dual agent. That's how you select those. And then, okay, for here, so it pre-filled some of this information for us, which is great. We're going to go ahead and check this box for the seller since it's in a different brokerage. We know that it's seller's agent, but in this one, we don't know how their brokerage wants them to fill this out, so we're going to just leave this blank for them so they can go ahead and fill that out for themselves. But we do have to make sure that we go and grab the company license number, the state license number for Greg, and then the company address here. So again, you're going to find that on the MLS. This is towards the bottom of here, so you can see his license numbers there. So again, I'm copying, pasting, coming back, and I'm adding it in there. And then I'm going back to the MLS again. Right below that is going to be where Caldwell Bankers is. So we're grabbing that, coming back, pasting that in. Now those are going to add automatically. I'm going to go back, and then below that is going to be the address here. So I grab that now. I come in, add it in, it's going to ask me to redo it there. Again, I always cancel that because I don't want it auto-filling. And then that's pretty good there. If you want to add the cell phone number, that's nice for our assistant. So you can go ahead and grab their cell phone number because they're going to need to communicate with that agent. So it does make it easy for them if you go and get that. And then definitely make sure that the email is in there for the listing agent. Okay, so that covers page 1 of the agreement of sale. Next, we're going to go here into page 2. Okay, so by this agreement dated, this is the date that you're filling this out. So this would always be today's date on here. Even if your offer isn't due for a couple days, you're still putting this day in because it's always going to run off of the date that you actually execute the document, not this date. This is just the date that you're writing it. Okay, so let's go back, double check our price here. We're at 370,000 for this. So let's say we're writing a semi-competitive offer here, okay? So our client decided that they're going to start their offer at $375,000. Actually, we're going to not do a competitive scenario because those are extra documents that I'd like to add in at a different time. I want to keep this just the agreement of sale, so we're making this as if it's not competitive. We're actually going in at $365,000, $5,000 under list. Okay, so you type that number in there, you're going to see that it autofills in then the words for it, which is really nice, that you don't have to do that. The next piece that we're putting in here is the earnest money deposit, okay? If we don't select anything, if we just let this default, it's going to go to 5 days that we get. We always just leave this at 5 days. You don't need any longer than that. 5 days is plenty for them to write the check and get it in. We're going to say on this one, we're just doing 1%, a little less. We're going to go 3,500 on the earnest money deposit, so that's how much we're putting in there. Unless we have additional deposits, this is all you need to fill in. These two stay blank. Okay, so then it takes us to the next section, which is seller's assist. If you're going to be adding seller's assist, you can either do it by a percentage over here, or you can do a flat amount over on this side. But we're actually going to say this is a straight up deal here. We don't have any seller's assist, so if you want to put 0 in here to emphasize that point, it never hurts. Okay, making it very clear for the other side what you're doing with your offer is definitely always the right thing to do. Don't leave it ambiguous for any reason. So that brings us down to the next section, which is settlement and possession. So the settlement date on here. Settlement date is when you plan to go to the settlement table. Okay, so this is the final date of the contract. This is when you execute on it. Everybody goes to settlement. You sign all of the paperwork. You get paid that day. Well, you get the check that day. It doesn't actually hit your bank account that day, unfortunately. But we come in here, and typically this is going to be between 30 and 45 days most of the time. So we're going to say this is a standard sale. This is going to be a 1 month opportunity here. So we're on a Saturday right now. So if I go to the 13th, that happens to be a Monday. So that's great. If you're trying to be more aggressive, if it comes down to a weekend, be on the Friday prior to what the date would be. And if you're trying to be less aggressive, go to the Monday after for the particular weekend that you fall on. So May 13th would be settlement on this one. A lot of times settlements end up on Fridays. Fridays and Mondays would be your most common, and Wednesday is the least common because obviously it's the middle of the week and the hardest to get off. Okay, so that brings us down to this part here. So this is just talking about the proration. Typically, you're not going to do anything to really mess with this. It could be a way that you could beef up your offer if you wanted to, but that would be for a different video. Okay. So then we have conveyance. Again, this is pretty much always just going to be a deed of special, simple deed of special warranty. But every once in a while, we'll get something unique. If that's the case, you would put that change here in that section. Payment of transfer taxes will be divided equally, so you can actually opt to pay the seller's transfer tax if you wanted to, or the seller could opt to pay your transfer tax. Either way, that would go here. And you would stipulate that typically it's 2% split 1 and 1 on each side. So you could have 2% on one side. You just specify who's putting that 2%, that extra 1% rather, on their side. This is for tenant-occupied properties only that you would check this box here. This one is not tenant-occupied, so we are not going to check that box, and that is only if the tenants are staying. Even if tenants are there, but they plan on vacating the property before settlement, you do not check this, because then you're saying that we do not want tenants in that property. You also want to just make sure you write it down below in the extra last section that there is. We'll get to that at the end, but definitely want to make sure that you do not check that box by accident. Okay, so dates and times, written acceptance. So this is their acceptance date. This is the date that you're saying we need to have an answer by. The reality of the situation is if you want the deal and they don't get it by the time that you put it in there, you just have to wait, unfortunately, at least in a seller's market. It's been a seller's market for a while at the moment, so that's the kind of life that we're living. As a buyer's agent, in a buyer's market, as a buyer's agent, you could use that as a leverage tool to try to get an answer either quickly or get a better deal by being a little bit aggressive with it. We'll put that in a tactics video at some point in the future. So for now, we're going to say we're going to give them 24 hours, so they have by the 14th, and then you can put a time in here if you wanted to. If you wanted to say 11:59 p.m. or 8 p.m. or something like that, you could write it in like that. But typically, I just say, hey, you have to the end of the day on the 14th. So that takes us down to the next portion, which is zoning. Okay, so this one's pretty important because a lot of people just go here, and they just go down here, and they go, okay, what do we have in here? We have residential is the zoning. They go, great, it's residential. But I will tell you, a lot of times it is incorrect. Even if it is residential, it's usually like R1, R2, R3, but you want to get more specific on that. So the way that we're going to do that is we're actually going to head over to Dover Township's website, okay? So we're going to go Dover